Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the ocean. But I wouldn't go down following anomalies again. Not after what I have witnessed. Who would want to watch their friends get killed right in front of their goddamn eyes? They didn't even have bodies left I could bury. Just pieces of flesh, strands of hair, fabric of their suits. From the time I would spend hours watching documentaries about marine life to the countless times I would beg my parents to take me to the beach, the underwater world has always held a special place in my heart. So when I had the opportunity to join the Voyager research team, I jumped at the chance. The Voyager wasn't just any research team. It was a group of dedicated scientists and engineers who were determined to explore the mysteries of the deep sea. We were equipped with the latest technology, including a state-of-the-art submersible that could withstand the extreme pressure of the ocean depths. The Voyager office was located in a bustling research facility on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. It was a hub of activity, with scientists from all over the world coming together to share their knowledge and expertise. My daily routine as a member of the Voyager team was pretty intense. We would start our day early, often before sunrise, and spend hours poring over data and planning our next dive. Once we were on the water, we would spend the next few days collecting samples, conducting experiments, and documenting our findings. For example, one of our adventures, our team decided to explore a newly discovered hydrothermal vent field off the coast of Mexico. Hydrothermal vents are underwater geysers that spew out superheated water and minerals, creating a unique ecosystem that supports an incredible diversity of life. As we approached the vent field, the pressure increased and the water temperature rose. Soon, we were surrounded by a swirling vortex of bubbles and steam. The visibility was poor, but we could see the jagged rocks of the vent field rising from the darkness. Suddenly, we spotted a group of giant tube worms clinging to the rocks. These worms are filter feeders that extract nutrients from the hot, mineral-rich water. They are the largest animals in the hydrothermal vent ecosystem, and they can grow up to 8 feet long. That's where we discovered a new species of thermophilic bacteria. Exploring the deep sea was not always without its challenges. But these challenges only made our discoveries all the more rewarding. Except my last one. One night, as I was wrapping up my shift in the control room, my comm buzzed with an unexpected alert from our drones. These drones, equipped with sophisticated sonar and acoustic sensors, had detected some weird signals deep within the ocean. These signals were unlike anything we'd ever recorded before. I immediately called my team members, Dr. Sarah Miller, our lead scientist with an insatiable curiosity, and Dr. Alex Lee, our expert acoustician with a knack for unraveling sonic mysteries. We all gathered around the monitor, our eyes wide with intrigue. "What do you make of it, Alex?" Dr. Miller asked, her voice laced with excitement. "I've never seen anything like it before," Alex replied, shaking his head. "The frequencies are way too high for any known marine life to produce. Maybe it's not from a living organism?" I suggested, my imagination running wild. "That's a possibility," Dr. Miller agreed. "But whatever it is, it's definitely artificial." "But that's impossible," Alex interjected, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "The depths at which those signals are originating is way too deep for any human-made device to function." "I know," Dr. Miller sighed. "But we can't just ignore it. We need to find out what's causing those signals." We spent the next few hours analyzing the signals, trying to determine their origin. The signals were very faint, and it was difficult to pinpoint their location. But we were determined to find out what they were. Finally, after much deliberation, we decided that the signals were just a one-time anomaly. The depth they were emanating from was simply too deep for any conventional explanation. We concluded that it was probably some kind of natural phenomenon that we didn't yet understand. The next day, as we were preparing for our next dive, the drones picked up the same frequency again at the same time as the night before. We were stunned. The signals were definitely real, and they were definitely coming from somewhere deep within the ocean. We quickly gathered around the monitor, our minds racing with possibilities. Could it be something we had overlooked? Or was there something else going on down there that we didn't even know about? Whatever it was, we were determined to find out. We would not let this mystery go unsolved. We spent the next few hours analyzing the signals, trying to determine their origin. Again, the signals were very faint, and it was hard to locate. But we decided to launch our submersible and investigate further. We spent days diving deep into the ocean, but we found nothing. The signal stopped after 2 or 3 days too, and we were left with nothing but a mystery we thought we would never be able to solve. Or so we had thought. A month later, the signal started again. Same time, same place. We waited patiently for 2 or 3 nights, trying to figure them out, but they would disappear again. Then, month after another, the signals returned at the same time, and then disappeared after a few days. It wasn't a coincidence. Something was going on. By now, we had finally narrowed down the location to one ocean, but it was still a lot of area for us to cover. We were hoping the next month's signal would help us launch our submersible to the exact location. This time, we were not going to let anything stop us from finding the truth. We quickly gathered around the monitor around the expected time, our minds racing with possibilities and hearts pounding with anticipation. There was nothing. Not even one signal for 3 nights. What the hell? Lee sighed, his face filled with disappointment. I guess not everything has to be a pattern. Worth a try anyway. Miller patted Lee's shoulder and started to turn around. I wasn't ready to give up. I knew there was something more to this. The strange signals had been driving me and my team crazy for months. Not everything has to have a pattern, but what follows an exact pattern for a few months and then decides not to? I had an idea. What if the signals were coming from a moving object? That would explain why we couldn't pin down the exact location. Maybe whatever it was so down below the surface that we couldn't even get the faintest of signals. I proposed my idea to the team, and they were skeptical at first. But we were desperate, so we decided to give it a shot. All we had to do was dive deep in the Pacific Ocean, the depths we had never tried before, and maybe we'd see something. We launched our submersible and spent the next few weeks patrolling the ocean floor, constantly monitoring for the signals. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, we got a hit. The signals were coming from a deep underwater valley, a place we had never explored before. We were excited, but we also knew that we were venturing into uncharted territory. My heart pounded with anticipation. We were close. With bated breath, we cautiously steered the submersible towards the source, our lights cutting through the murky darkness. As we approached, the energy signature grew stronger, and an object began to emerge from the shadows. The giant rocks, glowing with an otherworldly luminescence, were unlike anything I'd ever seen before. My team and I were awestruck, mesmerized by their ethereal beauty. We had been following the strange signals for months, and finally, we had found their source. I watched as my team, clad in their diving suits, prepared to exit the submersible and investigate the rocks. I stayed behind, monitoring their progress from the control room. As they approached the rocks, the cracks in their surface grew wider and the glow intensified. Then, just as my team members were about to touch the rocks, a deafening scream echoed through the underwater valley. The rocks shuddered violently, and the glow within them erupted with blinding intensity. The vibration was so powerful that it sent my submersible careening away from the rocks, but I managed to maintain visual contact with my team. The scream continued, a piercing wail that seemed to shake the very foundations of the ocean floor. It was a sound of such raw power and terror that it made my blood run cold. I watched in horror as my team members were tossed about by the violent vibrations, their movements erratic and uncontrolled. I tried to contact them on the comm, but there was no response. The scream grew louder, more unbearable, and I could see that my team was struggling. The cracks in the rocks widened even further, revealing a sight that sent a chill down my spine. Tiny bioluminescent creatures, unlike anything I'd ever seen before, began to emerge from the cracks, their pulsating bodies casting an eerie glow in the darkness. Their forms were elongated and serpentine, with dozens of appendages that writhed and flailed like tentacles. Their bioluminescent patterns were mesmerizing, but their movements were predatory and menacing. I watched in horror as they swarmed my team members, their glowing bodies entwining around them like living nets. The creatures were relentless, their razor-sharp teeth tearing into my team's flesh. Blood swirled in the water, a crimson tide that painted the otherwise pristine ocean floor. I could hear my team's desperate cries for help, but I was powerless to do anything. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, a massive shape emerged from the depths, casting a dark shadow over the scene of carnage. It was the mother of the creatures, a colossal entity that dwarfed the rocks themselves. Its form was indistinct, a silhouette against the flickering glow of the creatures, but I could make out the outline of a large bulbous head and rows of razor-sharp teeth. The mother creature let out a deep, guttural growl that echoed through the underwater valley, sending a wave of terror through me. The creatures around my team members recoiled, momentarily abandoning their feast. But the mother creature merely raised a massive tentacle, its tip adorned with glowing barbs, and struck down one of my team members. The bioluminescent creature swarmed the fallen body, their feeding frenzy resuming with renewed vigor. I watched in disbelief as my team members, one by one, were torn apart and consumed. The scene was beyond words. I'm surprised I didn't die of shock or a heart attack right then and there. The blood splattered against the submersible front, a crimson warning that snapped me back to reality. I had to get out of there, to escape this nightmare before it consumed me too. With trembling hands, I activated the submersible's thrusters and propelled myself away from the scene of carnage. The bioluminescent creatures paid me no attention, their attention focused solely on their macabre feast. I ascended rapidly, the pressure lessening with each meter I gained. I could still hear the mother's guttural growls echoing through the depths, a chilling reminder of the horror I had witnessed. Finally, I broke the surface, gulping in the fresh air like a drowning man. But I was alive. I was alive. The memory of that day is seared into my mind like a brand, a vivid nightmare that refuses to fade. The underwater valley, once a place of wonder and exploration, now held a chilling reminder of the horror we had witnessed, the gruesome demise of my beloved team members. The sight of their bodies torn apart and devoured was etched into my retinas, a relentless torment that refused to let me sleep. We had lost more than just friends. We had lost a piece of ourselves. The first thing we did when I got back was launch a search and rescue. I laugh at the word rescue now. The recovered torn fabric, stained with blood and bearing the remnants of their flesh, was a stark reminder of the brutality we saw. My heart sank as I realized the gravity of the situation. My friends were gone, and the creatures responsible were still out there, lurking in the depths of the ocean. I felt a surge of anger, a primal rage that threatened to consume me. How could these creatures, these abominations from the depths, do such a thing? Why would they choose us to be their victims? My mind raced with questions, but there were no answers. The depths of the ocean held many secrets, and this was one we had stumbled upon too late. I knew I couldn't let this go unanswered. I had to find a way to bring these creatures to justice, to avenge the deaths of my friends. But I was faced with a daunting challenge. How do you hunt down creatures that dwell in the deepest, darkest corners of the ocean? I turned to my supervisors, pleading with them to take action. They listened to my account, their faces grim and grave. They knew what I was asking was dangerous, but they also knew that I was right. We couldn't let these creatures run amok, terrorizing the marine life and endangering any unsuspecting soul who ventured into their domain. After much deliberation, they agreed to contact the military, the only organization with the resources and expertise to handle such a task. A special forces team was assembled, handpicked for their courage, skill, and ability to operate in extreme environments. They were equipped with the latest underwater technology, including sonar, thermal imaging, and sophisticated weaponry. Their mission was clear: to find and eliminate the creatures that had caused such devastation. The team descended into the depths. They searched the underwater valley tirelessly, using all their tools and techniques to track down the elusive creatures. But the creatures were cunning and elusive, disappearing into the murky depths whenever the team got close. They seemed to know their surroundings intimately, using the underwater landscape to their advantage. Weeks turned into months, and the team's efforts yielded no results. The creatures remained elusive, leaving no trace of their existence. It was as if they had vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and gnawing frustration. I watched from the research vessel, my heart sinking with each passing day. The weight of my friends' deaths was crushing me, and the knowledge that the creatures were still out there, unpunished, only added to my despair. I felt like I had failed my friends, that I had let them down. I couldn't shake the feeling that I should have done more to protect them, that I should have found a way to prevent their tragic end. Finally, after months of fruitless searching, I made the difficult decision to retire from my job at the research vessel. The haunting memories of my friends in the relentless pursuit of the elusive creatures had taken a toll on my mental and physical health. I left the vessel behind, carrying with me the weight of my grief and the indelible mark of the underwater horrors I had experienced. I returned home to the familiar surroundings of my childhood, seeking solace in the memories of a simpler time. But even there, the ghosts of the past would not leave me be. The images of my friends' faces haunted me, their eyes wide with terror as they were devoured by those monstrous creatures. The guilt and regret gnawed at me, a constant reminder of my failure to protect them. I tried to move on, to find a new purpose in life, but nothing seemed to fill the void left by my friend's demise. Months turned into years, and the pain of my loss gradually softened. But the memory of my friends and the events that transpired remained etched into my mind. I felt lost and alone, adrift in a world that no longer made sense to me. After months of struggling to cope, I realized that I couldn't go on like this. I needed to find a way to honor my friends' memory, to find some meaning in their tragic deaths. I decided to start a foundation in their name, dedicated to ocean conservation and exploration. I believed that this was the best way to keep their spirits alive, to ensure that their legacy would live on, even if I was not much in favor of the kind of exploration that had gotten them killed, that could have killed me.